55 on the GPS. Feels good to be back on a Solar E-Clipse, baby. Oh shoot, dude, there's a police officer right there, man. 60 miles an hour is the claimed top speed of the version 2 Solar E-Clipse electric scooter. Peak power output on this one is 10,000 watts, and it claims to have a 350 amp controller. All of that running on a 72 volt 45 amp hour battery pack makes for some pretty impressive numbers. MSRP on this thing is $6,000, but in the link below this video in the description box you can find a discount code. But do not buy the new version 2 of the Solar E-Clipse just yet. We need to crack this thing open, take a closer look at it, take it out for a full review, and see whether or not it's worth the money. Sorry about that, it actually says it's a 400 amp controller. We'll see about that. As you can see here, we have the white version, which I think looks great, but there are other color options available in the link below. The 72 volt 45 amp hour battery pack is mounted right in here. We'll get in here in just a little bit later, but one of the most unique things about this electric motorcycle compared to most is the carbon fiber frame on this thing helps keep the weight down. The total weight of this thing is actually around 140 pounds. I'll put the exact numbers right up here. And another thing that makes this electric motorcycle unique is the mounting point of the 10,000 watt peak power output motor. It's located here on the swing arm. Now compared to a hub drive motor, this will have better handling characteristics, but it is a little bit different having the motor mounted on the swing arm as compared to built into the frame. We'll see how it feels out in the real world. Here's a quick look at the adjustable rear suspension. Comes with a 350 pounds per inch spring. Of course, you can adjust the compression as well as the rebound. We'll get that linked up and connected onto the swing arm here in a few. Now my guess is the version 2 also has regen brake as the original version had. We are running hydraulic brakes. Here's a look at the rotor. Appears to be a single piston hydraulic brake. From the looks of it, it appears to be the same as the original bike. So I have the 19-inch Enduro wheels on this bike, but you can get Supermoto wheels. The Supermoto wheels are more for street riding. They're shorter, they're wider, they have a street tread as compared to these Enduro tires. These 80 by 100 by 19 knobby tread tires are more for off-road riding. Another thing about them, they're taller. It'll make the whole bike a little bit taller. I'm 6'5", so this bike will probably actually fit me a little better than Supermoto's. It appears to be running the 90-tooth 219H chain. We'll get this thing flipped around and take a closer look at that in a few. But first, let's get in here and take a closer look at the seat. Actually, take a closer look at this frame. It has a real carbon fiber texture to it. Of course, it does have a brake light and turn signals. We'll get that powered on here in a few. But the seat, let's take a look at it. It's got a little bit of texture to it. And compared to a lot of the other competitors like Suron, Talaria, this seat is actually really long. We'll have to see how the version 2 feels riding out in the wild. And just like the original version 1 of the Solar E-Clipse, this one also has a start-stop button for the engine? Isn't that a motor? And check it out. Here's a first look at the dashboard. Headlight up front. We do have turn signals on front, big headlight. Looks like it might be the same display as last time. Check it out here very soon. And obviously there is front suspension. The right has a rebound adjustment. You can make it softer or more firm by rotating this dial. And on the left stanchion, we have a preload adjustment. Front suspension is branded Solar, and we do have inverted forks. On the inside here, it actually says speed limit 60 kilometers per hour. Front fender is color matched to the frame, and check this out. We actually get a rear assembly with a little reflector, brake light, and turn signals that we can mount on the rear. There's a place to put a license plate, so it appears that this thing is set up to become a street legal machine. Speaking of street legal, it does come with mirrors. It says DOT on there. Looks like the rubber grips will be an improvement over the original Solar E-Clipse. Comes with a fancy solar card and passenger foot pegs. The charger comes with both an international charger as well as a US charger. Those cables plug into the main body of the charger, which is a 10 amp output charger. And it is a 72 volt 45 amp hour battery divided by a 10 amp charge rate. 45 amp hours divided by 10 amps would be about 4.5 hours to charge this from completely empty to completely full. It's a pretty fast charge rate, but you will have to charge the battery most likely on the bike. It is technically possible to get this thing out. We'll take a closer look at it here later, but it's kind of in there. One limitation on the Solar E-Clipse is the battery compartment is pretty much fixed. You can't really mount like an external battery that's like extra tall, you know, like we see on some of the Surons or something. You know, the ugly ones that stick way out. This one, it's nestled right in there. The good news is you do get a relatively huge battery, 72 volt 45 amp hours. That's big range. How much range? Well, we'll see when we get out on the road here shortly. But before we do that, we got to get this front wheel on there. The tires are C CST, pretty beefy spokes, branded Solar wheels, and 19 by 1.8 inch wide wheels. Let's take a look at the handlebars and the controls. Twist throttle on the right. Grip is already installed, unlike the left side. Quick peek at the controls. Looks like we'll have Eco, Sport, Park, and I'm guessing this is gonna be a regenerative brake lever because this is a twist throttle. There's no way this is a thumb throttle e-bike. And check it out, in case you missed my original Solar E-Clipse review, this thing comes with a wireless push button start. There's a lock, unlock, and an alarm. And I'll show you what these keys do in just a few. And they give you this little QR code that actually shows you how to put everything together. Just scan it, there's a video. I'm gonna follow those steps now. Fender goes here, direct mount stem goes on. We'll take a look at all those controls in just a minute. But first, let's get that wheel on. So here's what it's looking like after it's all built. Here's what I look like on it at 6'5", inseam 34. Suspension's feeling soft as ever. Dial up that compression if need be. You could swap out that spring for a stronger spring, a heavier spring, and also you can add air to the rear shock. Here's riding position for me. And before we can power it up, we need to get in there and plug it in. So we gotta pop this side open. But before we do that, let's take a look at the sprocket. So it is a 219H 90 tooth sprocket on the rear. The chain is a lot smaller than what you'd see on that Caseron. Might need to tighten that up. And the controller is mounted under the seat here. They have it listed as a 400 amp controller. Looks like they don't have fans down here anymore. Looks like it's just a traditional heatsink. We'll be trying that thing out soon. To get access to the battery, you gotta take out 3 bolts. Then you can swing the door open, and we have to actually plug the battery in to the connector port right there. Taking a peek at the actual battery here, it is listed as a nominal voltage 73.8 volts. Rated capacity is 44.39 amp hours, 3276 watt hours, so it should be big range. Let's go ahead and pop that out. Oh my. Doesn't look quite so pretty once you take the battery out. And actually, while we got it out, let's go ahead and weigh it. Looks like it clocks in at 35 pounds exactly. And it looks like it is X1 power. It's got a little display for your battery life. So it is possible to take that thing out. Not super easy, but it can be done. Well, we just about ran out of daylight, but let's go ahead and fire this thing up. Oh, solar. And we got everything on right now. So we got the hazards on and the headlight. Pretty bright headlight. Display shows our state of charge at 44%. We get the motor temperature, rotating speed, RPMs. 44% is 72.8 volts. Looks like we'll get our amperage when we twist that throttle. And I'll show you all this stuff when we get the GoPro on. Then around back, we get a light and turn signals on each side. And when you pull the brakes, you get a little bit of a brake light there. All right, let's get this thing out on the road. All right, dudes, let's check out the new version 2 of the Solar E-Clipse. So just like the original version, this has the unlock keyless feature. You press this button here to turn on the display. Pull that off, solar. And there is a VIN number right on the frame here, and this key right here is actually used to go in there, and you can lock the wheel so nobody can just roll off with this thing. And Solar does have an app that will allow us to unlock the true full top speed of this bike. So we're gonna try it out on the stock settings first, then we'll get into the app here and unlock the full potential. And along the way here today, we're gonna address some of the differences between the old model and the new model. There were some bugs on the original, on my original review. So I think that there is a brand new controller on this, more amperage, but most importantly, hopefully it does not turn off on us while we're riding. That was an issue with version 1. This is version 2. Supposedly it's been fixed. We'll find out. And there's 5 other things on this list we'll address along the way. One of them being, will the speedometer read the correct speed? We'll verify that with my GPS base speedometer here. Also, of course, we're gonna track our official range with my Strava app. On the original Solar E-Clipse, the state of charge would actually read out incorrectly. Right now, it is actually reading correct. 84 volts is 100%. So far, so good. We'll see how it holds up. First thing you gotta do is take it out of park P by pressing the P button. Now we're in eco, so let's roll on out. Actually, I'm gonna make sure this bolts are bolted down there. We are going to be going about 60 miles an hour according to the official company website. It's not a 19 on both sides, 16 maybe? Well, apparently I'm missing my 17 millimeter, so we're just going to YOLO it. Hopefully the wheel doesn't fall off. We'll find out. How about that? We got some DOT approved mirrors on this one. That was not on my original one. Let's check out hazard lights, flash or high beams, turn signals, high beam, low beam. And of course, the very first thing we're gonna do is run it up to 20% grade. We'll just leave it on eco mode. I mean, this thing's gonna have plenty of torque, I would think. Oh, you put the kickstand down, it actually puts it in park for you. We're back in eco mode here, and I'll just roll on the throttle. It does show the amperage output there. It says negative 30 amps right now. And if you tap the brake levers, the regen brake on this bike actually, from what I recall on the first version, does not work until the voltage drops down below like 90% or so. So we'll see if this regen brake here works pretty soon. There are 3 buttons on the side of this. I hope one of these will turn up the display a little bit brighter. Oh yeah, there we go. Put it on 100%. See that thing much better. It's like an e-bike electric motorcycle kind of thing.
Can I ride it?
No, I wish I could let you ride it, man. I'm making a review on it. Kiddos want to know about the e-bike. So let's go ahead and see if we can see the screen through my polarized shades. Heck yeah, you can. That's awesome. I hate those displays that you can't see through the polarized lenses. And as I'm putting these motorcycle gloves on, I did notice like I really like these grips a lot more than the original version 1 of this bike. So cruising along here, eco mode, full throttle. So, you know, you don't have to go crazy on this thing. Same thing as like version 1. Looks like, oh shoot, that's in kilometers per hour up there. We gotta get that switched back. All right, there we go, miles per hour. So full throttle from eco mode here from a dig. Yeah, you know, it's pretty tame. So you can like pass this off to a newbie, you'll probably be all right. Actually,
I swear.
Sure.
I swear.
Yeah, you. Oh shit. Oh no. On version 1, that wasn't the case, as we can see here when Brian totally crashed the heck out of my version 1. It's all good though. Even though it is a carbon fiber frame, which this thing weighs in at what, 138 pounds? I was really afraid that the carbon fiber frame was gonna snap on that when that original one fell when I handed it off to Brian and he tried it out. Fortunately, it was totally fine, man. So it does appear the speedometer might, well, let's see, it says 21 miles an hour. And let's go ahead and flip our signal on here, bust a U-turn on eco mode. The turning radius on this thing is fine. I did notice, compared to some of the other electric bikes, the turning radius, like the stanchions prevent the wheel from turning super far. So you are gonna have kind of like a longer turn radius from a dig on this bike compared to some other bikes I've rode. However, the longer wheelbase on this one does make it feel more stable at speed. So let's see how that feels. And I can feel that there is regen brake kicking on now that we are a couple percent into the battery. We're sitting at 96% there. So if you just touch these brake levers, it kicks on the regen brake. And then also we have the dedicated regen brake here, I believe, which I have not tried. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, that's nice, man. So it's a progressive lever, so you can, you know, it works kind of like a throttle. You can just use a little bit or press it in, and it'll show you on there the amps that it's putting back in the motor, in the battery. So in eco mode, let's just ease in the speed here a little bit. I've only been on this bike a few minutes now. Then in just a few, we'll get into the app and unlock the full potential of this thing. So it'll top out about 24 according to GPS, 27 according to onboard. And the brakes are actually feeling way better on this bike from what I remember on the original version 1. The brakes were, you know, kind of one of my gripes. Not sure if that chain needs to be tightened up or not. So it shows us our rotating speed, RPMs there. We're gonna unlock that stuff here in just a few to increase the maximum RPMs. So let's stop messing around here now. Flip this thing from eco mode, press the red button here, put it onto sport. In the original version 1 of this bike there was like a little bit of delay from the time you press the throttle and the time you let off the throttle. It seems like that has been resolved. Anyway, let's go ahead and give it a rip from 0 to whatever. Ready, go, full, oh, wow. So this thing rips pretty hard off the line. 40, 45, 50, woo, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, and we have a red light. Better get on the brakes. So 53 according to GPS there. Speedometer appears to be a lot more accurate compared to version 1 of this bike. And suspension's feeling nice and plush, man. They're just like, why is this dude talking to himself? So let's go ahead and give it another rip here when this light turns green. Go! Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good from a dig, man. This thing has torque, dude. 30. And my GPS will lag just a little bit. 42. Cooking, dude. So we got to get in there and unlock the full potential. Says 60 on the onboard, 55 on the GPS. Woo! So it says 5,300 RPMs, 5,300 RPMs showed 100 amps, 99 amps. And now it's time for a brake test as this Jeep pulls out in front of us. Maybe we are going a little bit faster than we should be here on this road. Oh man, but how can you resist? Oh man, Feels good to be back on a Solar E-Clipse, baby! Version 2! So word on the street is they're actually coming out with like an ultra high performance version of this thing soon. Hopefully I'll be getting my hands on it. Probably is gonna cost a little bit more than this one, which list price of this thing is, if you missed it, about $6,000, in the link below this video in the description box. If you're thinking about buying one, do consider buying through that link down there. You'll get the best price and also would help support my reviews here on Juiced Joyrides. A little bit of squeakiness on that front brake. We probably got to get it to bed in just a bit. So we do have a preload adjustment on the left stanchion here, as well as a rebound adjustment on the right of the fork. For street riding, this feels fine. You know, again, just like the original version of this bike, if you're looking for something that's going to be like a real hardcore, like off-road dirt bike, one downside, you know, design characteristic of this bike is the motor mounted on the swing arm is not quite as ideal as the motor mounted on the frame of the bike. One, you know, it sits pretty darn low. So clearance, you don't want to smash your motor on something, you know, hopping a curve. That being said, you can do stuff like this, kind of, you know, more of like a dual sport setup. And then this one has the 19-inch Enduro wheels, although they do have the 16-inch Supermotos, which I actually wanted the Supermotos. It would make the whole bike sit a little bit lower to the ground, but you know, I would like to experience those. They were just sold out at the time I got this. So you do get that regen brake, just tapping the levers. Let's whip this thing around, give it another little rip of the throttle. Yeah, man, this thing feels juicy. So it's not like so torquey. Before we unlock it, you know, that the front end is just gonna come off the ground on you. Back brake is on the left, like, not like a motorcycle. A typical motorcycle's clutch lever is on the left. Sometimes I make a little oopsie in my reviews, but front brake is on the right. And there's quite a bit of stopping force on that front brake when you really get into that lever. Now it is squeaking a bit there though, but if you get a little bounce on that, we'd probably pop this front end off the ground. Let's give it a try. Oh yeah, a little bit there. I haven't really been riding too many wheelies lately, so I'm not gonna try and balance it. But oh yeah, dude, we got that front wheel off. So let's go ahead and use this regen lever, bring this thing to a halt, get into the app here, and see about fully unlocking this thing. Actually, real quick before we do that, a little look at the display here. So it shows the motor temperature 55 degrees on there. State of charge is 92%, appears to be. That's about accurate, I would say. Definitely 82.4 volts, 92%. Actually, let's see what the horn sounds like. Oh yeah, pretty freaking loud horn, dude. It's like that's like motorcycle loudness for sure. So here's the deal on the app. You need an Android device and there's a Solar app. And I guess we just get in here. I have this old phone from like 2016. And Lewis at Solar told me how to do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and follow the instructions he gave me here. All right, let's open up the Solar app. A new era in e-bike design. I do like the design. It looks like a stormtrooper kind of to me. So Bluetooth, do the thing, connect, success, nice. Oh yeah, and the app shows us it's 82.7 volts, 82.7 volts, matches up. So here's the deal. You go into motor specification, then under the high speed where it says 6,500, we're gonna change that to 10,000. That'll do it. Now the second part is go into RPM power adjustment and then just change all of these from 100%. So right now it looks like at about 5,000 RPM it starts throttling us. So yeah, let's change them. And the last one here, 100. So now they're all on 100, and that is for the sport mode. Now in the app here, it does say the maximum phase current is 360 amps with a maximum line current of 120 amps. So probably the maximum power on this bike, I would say, would be 120 amps multiplied by 84 volts on a full charge. That's right around 10,000 watts, right? All right, so I closed the app and reopened it. All the settings are saved, so we should be good to go. All right, let's go try it out. So one thing that's going really well right now that didn't go so well on version 1 of this bike is has not turned off on us at all. Now we have only been on for about, what, 5 or 10 minutes. So we'll see if it stays going strong. All right, let's give this thing a 0 to top speed ride. Ready, go. Full throttle. 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 50. Well, onboard says 56, 60, 55 on the GPS, 56, there we go. And this thing feels stable at speed, dude. 56 miles an hour. It does not feel intimidating at all. But it does appear that 56, 55, 56, at 200 pounds is about all I'm going to be able to get onto this thing, which is probably plenty. And speaking of high speed, if you are going to run high speed on an electric anything, you really need a big battery. And that's one good thing that's going for this thing. 72 volts, 45 amp hours. So that is a relatively massive battery compared to a lot of the competing bikes out there. But one of the problems with getting a large battery is obviously you're adding weight onto the bike, but you know, this is carbon fiber, so that helps keep the weight down a little bit. Yeah, you gotta pull those levers pretty good, but it comes to a stop pretty good. Gonna brake test from about, I don't know, 22. Give it one more week. Brake test from about 25. There we go. So not the strongest brakes, but they're sufficient. It's called the Solar E-Clipse. Yeah, you can find it online. 6,000.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you zooming around. How fast does it go?
55 is what I got it. They say it can go 60, so if I lost a little bit of weight, maybe. Right. And that's just the thing about this bike, man. Like, every time I go out on a Solar E-Clipse, I get so much attention because nobody's ever seen anything that looks like this. It's Solar E-Clipse. This one goes like 55 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Kind of like a dirt bike.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like enduro. Dude, all the attention, man, I'm telling you. Hey, this is the new Solar E-Clipse version 2. Oh shoot, dude, there's a police officer right there, man. Dude, it's just come to my realization, this thing might look like a motorcycle cop to people who don't really know what to look for. He's sitting over here in the bushes like this, they probably think I'm radaring. All right, dudes, been out here for about 10 miles on the Solar E-Clipse version 2, and we are showing, well, 42 minutes of ride time, average speed 14 miles an hour, 80.1 volts, and 84% on the state of charge. So considering this is the same exact battery size as the original one, I'd expect pretty much the same range. So you could check my full range test if you want to see what kind of range I did. I think they say you can get 60 miles on this, and you probably actually could do 60 miles if you didn't go crazy on it. I want to say that I got about 50 miles on my past 2 rides, and I was not, you know, taking it easy on it at all. Oh gosh, this cop is sitting right up here still. So, you know, this thing, it has the ability to get registered likely, you know, has a VIN, and you can put your turn signal plates back there. Going past this cop, hopefully he doesn't do anything. I'm looking at my rear view mirror. All in all, on the version 2, pretty much they took the version 1 and improved it. There, you know, the throttle lag is gone. We got the regen brake lever here. The thing has not turned off on me at all yet. Granted, I have only been on it for 10.6 miles. But supposedly, you know, there's a new controller in there that's a little bit stronger and tops out about 55 miles an hour with a 200-pound dude. All around, you know, I think it's a pretty fun toy. If you're thinking about getting one, they're about $6,000. You can check the link in the description box for any discount code I can get you. And of course, if you didn't want to buy one of these Solar E-Clipse version 2s, buy it through the link down below in the description box and support your boy here at Juice Joyride. Just click on that link, and then any sort of discount code I have down there for you, go ahead and punch that in and you'll get the best price. Anyway, let me know if there's anything else you guys want to see on this thing, or if you don't, go ahead and watch this video next. Catch you over there.